Oh, this could be a great topic today.
Yeah, it's going to be just something different. For all you teenagers out there.
Oh man.
Yeah.
These shows have gone from G to we're like PG-13 we're getting to be.
We'll stop at PG-13, I think.
Oh man, good stuff.
Anyway. All right. Let's see if we get any viewers today, Todd.
Let's take a peek. See who's there. Mr. Johnson, there you are.
Mr. Johnson.
That's the point. It is called The Edge.
And we were just teetering on it a minute ago.
Right. That's right.
Oh, I think Perry just got a text from Nancy Pelosi.
Miss Angeliri.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Depending on where you're at.
Right on. So what's happening, Mets? What's new?
Oh man, just got off a Zoom call.
Yeah, draining, huh?
Exhausting.
Mr. Arce.
Arce, how are you? All right, well, Tass.
Yo, let's do it.
Schools are rocking.
Yeah, some people have been crushing it on Facebook, and congratulations. We have, it's been a battle for us, and we are very, very excited because I was just talking to a client earlier, actually, and they said, it's interesting how now some people are going to take this the wrong way when I say this. It's interesting how things are different in different areas, right? It doesn't mean you can't be successful in any area that you're at. And the systems that we teach don't work in any area, right? They work in all areas. However, this particular deal, Facebook ads are not working well for us, but we're in the schools and we're doing 2-week character education courses, and we're crushing it right now, which is awesome. So I think we've got 6 right now scheduled between now and mid-November, which is going to be a huge influx for students for us. Well, this client said Facebook ads are working for them. They're in Florida, but they can't get in the schools right now. So, but this is the importance of the 5 levels of marketing, right? Why you have to have different levels of marketing. So yeah, just excited to we're still playing the Facebook game, and we're still gonna, win the war. We're losing some battles, but we'll win the war on Facebook eventually. But to supplement that right now with this in-person stuff that we're doing has been phenomenal. As a matter of fact, just a quick funny story that happened a couple weeks ago. We had an event that we did for it was like a tough kid challenge is what it was called. So I had sent my daughter was going to go to the event, and we did our booth event the way we do it. We get there, we do the booth event, we have the rebreakable board, whatever. And there was another martial arts school there, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm embarrassed." I'm like, "Well, what are you embarrassed about?" She's like, "Well, they have this whole huge setup, and they've got they got tons of their kids in uniforms. They're giving out headbands. They got a prize wheel." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, stick to the plan." And all of a sudden, they had a line of people at our booth that want to come and break the rebreakable board. And I said, "Well, are they booking appointments?" She goes, "Well, it doesn't look like it." Well, when that line started to happen over at our booth, they sent someone back to their martial arts school, and they came back 20 minutes later with a rebreakable board. That's how you know you're the leader, ladies and gentlemen. And we went there, and we didn't have this big elaborate setup, but we knew what we were going for, and it was to generate appointments. And those appointments have turned into to a lot of new trials that we have right now in the school, which is, I think we picked up 10 new trials from that particular event.
Hey, that's a great lesson for everybody here, because sometimes, listen, the title of this show is like the first 30 seconds. And what we're referring to is when somebody walks into your school, in the first 30 seconds, to an average person who is not a martial arts person or a layman, let's say, what are they going to see in their eyes that looks different than your competitor or anyone else down the street, right? Or any martial arts school if they're inquiring. But this is really a good point here on the booth thing, because this is a great lesson.
Mhm.
If you guys are going to go out and let's say do a booth, but forget, don't tune out now because you're thinking booths don't work. You'd be wrong on that. But if you believe that, you would probably tune out right now. But it's a concept. Forget the booth. Whether you're going to do a booth, if you're going to go teach a self-defense course, whatever you're going to go do, sometimes we spend 90% of our focus on how beautiful we can make this booth, or what techniques am I going to teach at this self-defense course. We spend 90% on the stuff that is not the stuff that's going to get you the direct result of what you want. Right. If I go do a self-defense course, my result isn't to go there for an hour or two and whoever comes to my 2-hour class will now know self-defense for the rest of their life. So why am I going to spend 90% of my time figuring out what techniques I'm going to teach? If I go and say I'm going to go to a booth and I spend 90% of my time thinking about the elaborate look of the booth, why? Well, because you think in your mind the most elaborate booth will get people to my booth. Well, is that why it's so elaborate? Because if that's what you want, ultimately, well, wait a minute. If I go to a self-defense course, what do I want? I want these people to come in and enroll at my school so I can really change their life. If I go do a booth or go to an event, what do I ultimately want? I want to get appointments. What's the most effective way? Let's spend our time on what's going to do that the most effective way. If you just had a little table with a tablecloth, with a rebreakable board, with a sign, you'd probably get more people than the person with the elaborate booth. And that's talking extremes, but I'm trying to make a point. You guys always got to keep in mind what the end result you want and work backwards. And what's the most efficient way to get that result? But sometimes we get skewed.
We do. And, and it's okay to have both, right?
Yes, right.
It's okay to have both, but don't let the one compensate for the other. One of my clients years ago said, they did the farmers market every year, and they were going to do it. And he said, "Well, we just haven't had that good of luck at the farmers market." And I said, "Well, you will this year." And I said, "Well, give me your experience in years past." He goes, "Well, we hand out flyers and we maybe pick up one trial." Well, when they understood how to do the booth event the right way, they ended up with 36 appointments. I want to say this has been a couple of years ago now, but 36 appointments, 30 of them went in their trial, and they enrolled 20 some new students from that because they did it the right way as opposed to doing it the way they've been doing it for years. So this is why business systems are so important. As a matter of fact, here's another little pro tip. I'll let you know how it goes. I usually don't say things I haven't tried before, but I'm gonna. And we have a trick or treat thing that we're doing, and so a place had called us and asked us if we would be one of the stations for the trick or treat. So the kids are going to be coming through to get their candy in this, this whatever this deal is. And I'm thinking in my head, and I gave the team, number one, do the booth event with the rebreakable board. But in my head, I'm putting myself at the event going, well, if I'm a kid and my goal is to fill my plastic pumpkin or my bag with candy, I'm not necessarily going to be stopping and want to spend time to do this unless it's more exciting than going to get more candy. So if we can create that experience with the board breaking, fantastic. But the backup plan is we're going to have a QR code where a parent can snap a picture with their phone. And if they do that, anyone who scans that code today can get a free week of classes. So now they can scan it and they can literally type in as they're walking, as opposed, and we can potentially get the leads from that, as opposed to people just don't want to stop. We've had that experience in the past, which is why it's coming back to me. And so I want to figure out a way, what can we do to capitalize and get it? Because we're not going there to put on the martial art uniform and be like, oh, hey, we're championship martial arts. Here's some candy. That's not the mission. That's a win for the people because they have more people to hand out candy. That's not a win for us. We got to make it a win for us. And so that's what we're going to play around with. We're going to start with the board break. If that doesn't work, we're going to transition over to the QR code. Or we might do both. So I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, interesting on that. So let's talk about the first 30 seconds. and why visually, how are you different? And a lot of us think we're different, but you're not different. Because to somebody who does not know martial arts, they see kids on the floor, adults on the floor, they see an instructor, they see a class. What's different, right? And there's three things, and then Tash, you can pick one, but there's the black area, the white area, and the gray area. That's the floor, the office, and the lobby area.
And those were just very creatively named: the black, the white, and the gray.
Well, the gray area is the lobby area because it's a gray area. When do we spend training to be great in that lobby parent interaction area? You don't spend as much time as you do on the black and white areas, which is the floor, because you're an instructor. You spend more time on how you're going to teach, what you're going to teach, what you're going to do. And you spend more time in this other area, which is the office of how am I going to answer phone calls, scripts, this, that, and the other. There's a gray area that really makes and breaks your business. And that's that parent area. How many of you spend time on training how we're going to maximize that gray area? And that's why it's a gray area. Nobody trains on that. You go to the Super Show, you go anywhere, you can go to an instructor college, you can go to a program director college, but when is there a seminar on the gray area? Right? I mean, and that's why we call it's gray, because we don't live in a black and white world. It's not just black and white. It's the gray area in between the black and white that really makes the difference in life in general, right? So that's the way we came up with the black, white, the gray. But when somebody walks in, what does the gray area look like? Why is that different? Why does your floor look different? And why does your office look different? And if you didn't say anything, you don't have to chime in and say, well, we make sure we walk over in the first 10 seconds and we greet them. Well, let's say, how easy is that to train? I mean, anybody watching this, make sure if somebody walks in, you greet them. Okay, now everybody does that, right? Which they don't, right? If it was that easy, but assume they do. But if somebody walks in and for 30 seconds, they're just kind of looking, they've been thinking about martial arts, what makes you different? And by the way, I think you need to separate these areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I was, I mean, gosh, man, I was in my early 20s, maybe mid 20s, and I was down in Florida. I was down in Naples, actually, because my parents had a place down there. And I always liked to stop in martial arts schools. And so I had stopped in a martial arts school in Naples, and I was in the lobby. And I was watching classes for 25 minutes, and nobody came up to me. That's not knowing your student and your families, right? So finally, somebody came up to me because I probably stayed, from one class to the next, and like, well, why is this guy staying here? And asked if I needed help, and then I proceeded to say, yeah, I was looking at relocating. I just want to know how much lessons were for my kids, and I was in my early 20s. I just want to see how much they charge, or whatever. But it was that experience. I'm like, okay, and I do that because I want to know: is someone doing something better than us? Are we doing better than somebody else? And if we're doing better, fantastic. But look for the areas that we can fix and that we can get things done. Gosh, man, this is 20 years ago. I remember I thought, oh, that was an interesting deal. They had a mat that was up in the middle of the floor that kind of divided their classes, but the instructors were literally like this on each side of the mat teaching, right? So it wasn't very engaging. It wasn't exciting. So those are lessons that we can learn and say, okay, well, that's not what I want my school to look like. What do I need to do to make sure that we look different than that, right? So yeah, aesthetically, I mean, look, I think we all, we a flash of the obvious. My one location, I have 2 different doors. My other location, you come in through a mall entrance, but there's a back entrance for the team. Well, the team always comes through the back entrance. Well, when I go in, I go through the mall and I go through the front entrance. And the reason I do that is I want to see, what are our customers seeing when they walk in? Are the lights, we have any lights out? Are the ceiling tiles looking good? Is the floor, like all of those, what we think are simple things, but you have to get different perspective of your school sometimes. And these are kind of like dumb things. Like, why am I tuned in to listen to this? But have you ever laid in your floor to do a sit up and look at your ceiling and be like, oh my God, those ceiling tiles are horrible? Because you don't spend the time doing that. Your students do. But if you're like, in my case, I'm not on my floor all the time teaching. I don't spend my time looking at the ceiling. But if you've got light fixtures that are out or cracked or bad ceiling tiles or light bulbs out, those are things that your people see. So, I think that's important to have, obviously, goes without saying, have an aesthetically pleasing school. But dude, I love the gray area. Like, that's where I feel like I really like excel. And I think you have to be. I was telling this to my mom the other day. I said, I was in the other day. I was actually teaching some classes, and I'm like, it's like a 3-ring circus, and I get to be the ringleader, right? And I love being in that position. I love teaching. I love getting the parents engaged. I love flanking the lobby. I love checking in the office. So, a class, if you will. I can just tell you this happened on Tuesday, 2 days ago. Had a class. We had an intro that came in. I was the one teaching class because our instructor was doing the 2-week course. We had an intro come in. I had one of our yellow belts. Who wants to be a leader? The yellow belts. I will. Great, you lead class. So we had the yellow belt start leading the class, go through the student creed. I walked over to the intro that was there, introduced myself to the child, then to the parent, said, hey, listen, we're so excited for you. Got him excited, got him motivated. Mom, what are we looking for him to accomplish? And by the way, my program director is doing the intro, but I want to introduce myself as the instructor, so I'm now another familiar face. Then 3 more people came in for their first class, then another 2 people. I made contact with every single one of those people, and because I want to court them, I want them to have a great experience. I want everyone to have a great experience, by the way, because even in my intermediate class that started next, I'm big on discipline. And I was telling this kid, he was like bouncing, he was a green belt, and he was like jumping around and talking. I said, Jeremy. He's not paying attention. I go, this isn't recess. He goes, sir, my name's not Jeremy. That's what happens when you're not in your school a lot. But he happens to look like a kid. So the dad saw that. So I made sure I went out to the dad. I said, hey, sir, how are you? He goes, good. I said, I don't know why I said, he looks like Jeremy Hawkins, another one of our students here. He's like, no, you're all good. I said, how are things? You have any questions? He goes, well, actually I do. And then he went through a question and I answered the question for him. And he said, I called this kid the wrong name. Check this out. This is how you know you have a good floor. I called this kid the wrong name 3 times in a row. He goes, do you teach at the other location? I said, no, sir, I don't. He goes, man, he goes, I love it when you step on the floor. You guys, you just command such a presence. I just love your delivery in classes. That's someone I call this kid by the wrong name, by the way. So I love working the school. And sometimes as instructors, we're in that black area and that's all we see. I was in the office. I asked my daughter, because the 2 kids, I'm on a rant right now. Sorry, Metz. But I saw this guy had 2 kids, and they were rambunctious kids. Clearly, they needed self-discipline and they needed to be able to listen. And I went in the office and I asked my daughter. I said, "Hey, did we get them their 0 rule and 1 rule sheet?" And of course, she's like, "I got it." I'm like, "Okay, good." And hey, when will we see you guys next? Do we get their progress check scheduled? Like, I'm checking on everything, and it was actually annoying to my daughter, who's our program director, because she's like, "Dad, I got it. Like, we're good. We got it all." But I would rather, my point to her was, I would rather over communicate, be a presence, than under communicate and just live in my little black box on the floor, which is just teaching. Because that's that gray area that you're talking about, Metz. When you can orchestrate all of those things, but when you're really good in the gray area, that's where rapport is built. That's where trust is built. That's where all those things happen. And you're going to keep people for a really long time when you're working that gray area. Because if you don't control the gray area will control you, because you'll have parents jibber jabbering and talking about things. And I think we talked about this last week, but then all of a sudden they start giving other people a different perspective or skewed perspective. So yeah, I love this topic, and that's what I love. You can probably hear the passion in my voice, but when I get in the school and I get on the floor, man, that's like home for me. And I love working the crowd.
And by the way, you have to listen. You want to separate yourself. This is not a topic to just disregard, because we are in business, right? And you need every edge you can get in business, and you want to get that difference in the first 10 seconds that somebody walks in. You want to know they just walked in, and this was different than any other school that I've walked into. I told my guys, I want coffee brewing 30 minutes before the first class starts. Not only so it smells so good when you walk in, because even people that hate coffee typically love the smell of coffee, but it's a customer service thing. I want it to be different than the martial arts school up the street. I want our lobby, our chairs, I want it to be all even. How many of you have chairs that are against your wall that's just wrecking your wall, right? I mean, I just paid to have a 6-inch chair rail go across the wall in the new school painted, because it's important. You said lights. We can walk into any martial arts school typically and you see bulbs that are out, water stains on the ceiling. I mean, do these matter? Here, watch this. Do these things matter? To some people, they do.
Right.
And I need every edge I can get. To some people, they do. And what is the feel of the lobby? You see a parent getting a cup of coffee when a prospect walks in, they're sitting down, they're holding a coffee. Well, this looks like a relaxing place if I bring my kid here, right? What does your staff look like? When somebody walks in the first 30 seconds, do they know who works there and who doesn't? Instantly, without even being greeted. Do they know who works here and who does not? Your staff should be uniform. Everybody should be in uniform. And whatever that uniform is, I don't mean a traditional uniform, but whatever your uniform is, regardless if you're MMA, you got to look different. You got to look professional. And then you do have to have the greeting, right? You have to have the greeting. What does your floor look like? Does your floor look like every other martial arts school? Or are you doing something different, which it looks more organized? It looks more fun. It looks like there's fitness going on. It looks like there's discipline. But I don't want to look like every other martial arts school. What's traditional? We line up in rows and we're punching or kicking air. I mean, to someone who does not know martial arts, that's what I see. How can you look different? Now, you can't look different 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So specifically, when do we want to control certain areas? Our office, our floor, your gray area, that parent lobby should always be looking clean. I love having fresh coffee for the parents, right? Should always be. But when should that floor look different? Well, guess what? Every day you walk in your school, all your assistants, your instructors, your program, the first thing they do is look at the calendar. Oh, wow, it's 6:30. We have an intro coming in. Well, write it down. So when you start your 6 o'clock class or 6:15 class, or I'm going to start the 6:30 class, know that you have new eyes on you. And make sure that we just look different,
right.
For that second, because we got to do some of the things that we got to do, but let's look different than what we would anticipate them seeing at another martial arts school. And again, it's just to get a little edge to win in the game of business. Go ahead, Tass.
And I think, going back, I remember when I opened the first time I opened my second location, years ago when I wasn't ready, I opened it up in a dance school. It was a previous dance school, and that dance school, man, I think that place was about 1,200 square feet, right? So I went small, I knew the deal, but they had check this out, 600 students at that dance school. And it was like 1,200 square feet. And they had classes directly after school up until like 10 o'clock at night. Well, when I took over that dance studio, I went in, I'm like, are you kidding me? This place had 600 students. And it was the most filthy place I've ever seen. The bathroom was horrible. The ceiling tiles were horrible. Everything was horrible. But you know what they were masters of? The black area and the gray area, because they could teach great classes and they had great rapport with their people. And so sometimes people look by and they look past all that stuff. So you can go into a dingy martial arts school and they're successful because they're so great at what they do in the black area and so great at what they do in the gray area. But if you're not great, or if you have instructors that are coming up and maybe you pulled yourself off the floor and you put a new instructor on the floor and they're not as seasoned, because listen, you can train them as much as you want, but time and experience is what makes somebody great. You can train them all you want to, but they have to have the time, they have to have the experience to have certain things happen to them so that they become seasoned and grow into a great instructor. So if you're off the floor and you put a new instructor on the floor, well, that black area may not be as strong as it needs to be. Well, now the gray and the white area need to be stronger to make up for that. So, ideally you want all of those things, right? Thumping and hitting on all 8 cylinders. But that's the importance of it, and control. Listen, the other thing is control the lobby. My daughter's like, "You're such a jerk," she said to me the other day. There was a parent that took a phone call in the lobby, and I'm teaching the kids, and she's talking, and I'm like, I looked over, I said, "Hey, ma'am," I said, "could you please step out into the lobby or because that's in our mall, right? So we have our chairs, and then they could step out in the mall." And she got up and she walked out. I'm controlling my lobby. And listen, I'm disciplined this way, but I don't want kids sitting on the floor playing freaking cars in my lobby. I don't want them sitting on the floor and coloring on coloring pictures. Your butt is in a chair. It's focused. You mentioned chairs, Mets. My guys started doing this. I'm like, wow, these chairs are so straight. They're like, yes, sir. They're 2 fingers apart. So they literally put every chair 2 fingers apart, like that, and they're spaced evenly. It's clean. There's 6 Wave Master bags. 3 are lined up. 3 are lined up. All logos are facing out. All of our kick shields are up against the mirror in between those bags. I mean, it's a really, really good first impression when you come into the school. And I love that the team takes pride in having a clean school and doing that,
They separate the chairs 2 fingers apart.
Literally.
What do you, is your school out of a prison? Are you renting space out of a?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
How many people we got watching class, man? Good. Good.
Well, they all get breaks there. I mean,
yes.
I love it. 2 fingers apart. So there it is, folks. I mean, Tass.
Hey, you've walked into one of your schools before. I have as well, and chairs are in complete disarray, right? So Metz is poking fun because now we're really organized, and he's like, "Dude, 2 fingers for real?" But it's better than having 4 chairs circled up, 2 turned backwards, and everything else, right? And it's just it's an easy thing for them. And you go into churches and you look at the churches. Churches will have tape on the floor, and they line up the fronts of the chairs on that tape all the way down. In more of not like a traditional Catholic church, obviously those are pews, just so we're clear. But in a new school church, right? But those are systems, man. Those are systems to make sure that your business looks professional.
And at the end of the day, guys, like I said, you need every edge you can to win in business, to get the next client, to get the next student, and you want to have. You want to have that impression, and it's not about what's important to us. It's what's important to every customer, and that's the thing. We're fishing out of a small pond the way it is. I can't afford to market to this and to turn off some people. And now I'm only fishing out of this because, man, somebody walks in, they don't like the smell of sweat. So I can't have it smell like sweat. Nobody's going to not enroll because it smells good in your school, right? But they will not enroll because it smells bad in your school, right? And by the way, how many people judge? Let's say you go to a restaurant. How many times have you heard people say, well, I judge a restaurant based on how clean their bathrooms are, right? Well, the bathroom responsibility may have nothing to do with the chefs cooking in the back, and that's a whole different person's job. But we judge the restaurant based on how clean their bathrooms are. Not everybody does, but a lot of you won't go to a restaurant again because their bathrooms were filthy. Same thing in our martial arts school. It's your lobby. It's your wall. By the way, you know what else I can't stand? And it happens in our schools. And listen up, everybody. This is big because I don't like it. And I think people can assume or assume laziness with this. How many times have you walked into a martial arts school?
Can I guess it?
Go ahead.
Like the mop closet doors open?
Nope, not that.
Nope, that's not it. Okay, that's a pet peeve of mine.
No, this is bigger. Well, yeah, I don't like having the mop closet and everything, or the mop just leaning against the wall in the lobby. Right. Even worse. But how many of you have done this in your school or walked into a martial arts school that's marketing your big event for October 2nd? And it's October 14th. And the flyer is still up and the poster is still up. You know what I mean? Because we're not paying attention. We didn't take it down. Right? I also know firsthand that you could call some schools, you get their answering machine, and it says, please note, we will be closed on Labor Day. You know what I mean? And you never change your answering machine. These are things that are going to go against you from growing your business.
Right.
And these are things you got to pay attention to. And this is why in Maya, we always say small details equal big results. When you clean up enough of the small details, it's going to be exponential in your business. But you can't disregard this stuff. You got to be on top of it. It's so important because you're being judged by your customers all the time. All the time.
I'm curious, what you guys put in the comments? What is your biggest pet peeve, right? At your school or a business for that matter, right? What's your biggest pet peeve? I'm curious to know some of the other ones. I mean, we hit quite a few of them.
Yeah, put it in there. Yeah, that's a great question. What's your biggest pet peeve and why you're doing that?
Right. And then think about how you're going to make sure that doesn't happen at your location. And I do this all the time. I think, when you say thank you, right? It's my pleasure, I believe, came from the Ritz-Carlton. I believe that's where it started. But that's what we've adopted that principle now. Thank you. Instead of no problem or you're good, no worries. It's my pleasure. Like we've adopted that because it just sounds so much more professional. And if you really get into the NLP side of things, the neuro-linguistic programming, when you say no, like no problem, all they hear is problem, right? It cancels out the no. So it's an interesting mindset thing. But I hear that at our grocery store, right? My pleasure. Is there anything else I can help you with? Or I walked into a place last night, new business, the Stein's Gardens and Gifts. Walked in. They said, "Hey, welcome to Stein's. How can I help you?" Like they actually had a greeting when I walked in, as opposed to just let me walk in and move around and walk around the store. So what do we got?
We're getting some things, but you know what? Let's start here. Gear water bottles left out. I was at one of my schools the other night. It was Monday or Tuesday. What's today? Thursday. It was Tuesday night. Water bottles, specifically water bottles and stuff like that. And I said to the instructor there, I said, "Is this yours? Did somebody just leave this?" He goes, "Oh, that's been there for a couple of days." I said, "Grab everything every night, put it on the bottom shelf over there on the corner, out of the way. Make announcements every day. Please check that lost and found section because every week we're throwing it out." I mean, because I didn't like that either. Handprints on windows mirrors. Listen,
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, here's the thing about that. Sometimes if you're a one-man or one-woman show, you can't be cleaning it throughout the night. But make sure it's cleaned at the end of the night or the very next morning, right? Now, here's another thing you'll do. If you come in at 4:30 and classes start at 5 and at 4:30 you want to clean the windows and mirrors, just remember, everybody that walked by that school came by saw dirtiness up until 4:30. I love getting the schools clean at night because when we come in the next day, even if we come in at noon, if I walk in at noon and somebody comes in for information at 12:05, they see a disaster school. And it's not clean. Go ahead, Tash. You're getting.
I'm laughing at Shane Weaver's comment on here. It struck me funny.
There it is.
That was good, man. Good humor.
Just take a break, sir, and go do that real quick.
Good humor. That was awesome.
The bucket of dirty gear and equipment in the corner. Mirrors for sure.
Arsamon had one on here. Posters hung up crooked. Not only that, I hate. This is me personally.
I know
you know where I'm going with this. Posters that are taped up on a window or taped on a wall. Like, get some freaking acrylic holders, put them up, make it look nice. And they're not cheap, by the way. But everything, if it's on a wall, it's in some sort of a frame, right? That's kind of the rule. Like, and I consider the acrylic holders frames. But
you know why this is so important, everybody? Listen, if you join the My Elite program or our consulting program, you know, we hit on these things, but some of these things we believe, and I've tried, and I've taught this, and I've said this, and I'm going to remind all of you of this. There is no such thing as common sense, right? If a school owner calls me and says, sir, I just need to know how to grow. I need to get more students. I need to generate more revenue, this, that, and the other. We dive into stats. Stats tell us, like, well, are we tracking about how many calls you get, how many walk-ins, how many appointments you set, how many appointments enroll, you know, how many students do you have currently? What are you doing for marketing? When we find those holes, we'll clean them up. But I don't know if your school stinks and it's a disaster and it's a mess. That goes without saying. Like, we think, right. But we can teach you every system in the world, but you cannot be or maximize your success if you're not doing all of this stuff that goes without saying, that we think everybody knows, but not everybody does. When I ask you guys, or when Tass asks what's your pet peeve, there's a lot of consistency here. Mirrors were a few answers. Mirrors, windows, handprints. Well, that means we see that a lot.
So what's the system to get that? Now, here's the deal. Be the problem, be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem, right? So instead of letting it irritate you and agitate you every day, well, what's the solution, right? Is the solution that at the end of every night, you're going to clean the mirrors, you're going to pick up all the water bottles, put them in the bottom cubby, and every week, Metzger just throws it out. I would donate it to, you know, whoever, but Metzger throws it out. You know, that's just what he does. But yeah, create a system for that stuff. And this is something a lot of you ask, like, well, what do you have your leadership kids do? What do you have your assistant instructors do? Leadership kids, this is getting on the edge a little bit of you know, child labor laws. But with your paid assistants, this is, I mean, our assistant one level, right? For assistant one, the very first line item is cleaning. That's the very first line item. But then it goes on to the next responsibilities. But under cleaning, and this is not going to be overwhelming to you because you can do this, but under cleaning, well, what needs to be cleaned? Because Metzger said it, common sense isn't so common. So when you say, hey, I need you to clean the bathroom, they go in there like, okay, I clean the mirror and wiped out the sink. The bathroom's clean. Well, no, you got to do the floor. You got to do the toilet bowl. You got to go lift the lid. You got to go. I mean, you got to do all this stuff. You have to show people. You have to inspect what you expect. You have to train it. You've got to do it. Then have them do it with you. You watch them do it, right? Until you know that they can do it on their own. And then they're going to teach the next person. And that's how you grow. And you have a team of great people that are following systems. Too many of us, this is a different topic, but too many of us hear something and say, well, it was great. I was on the Mets task force. I was on the foundations group. And so here's what needs to happen. When you're in classes, here's what I need you to do. And you tell them what to do, thinking they're going to go do it. That's telling, not teaching. You have to make sure that you're working with them and you're educating them. I went to a PTO meeting the other night to pitch our 2-week course. I could have let the program director do it. Number one, I want to make sure it happened. And number two, I want to be a teachable moment so she could see it in action and see what was happening, right? And that's what we need to be doing with our team and our staff. But all of these things, don't get overwhelmed by the word systems, right? Make it easy. What can we do to solve the problem? That's a big culture thing for us, right? We say, see it, own it, fix it. You see the sock sitting on the floor, you now own it. Now go fix it. Like, that's the mindset I want all my team to have, and have the autonomy to be able to do that and be like, okay, I'm gonna. Metzger told me this years ago. He's like, dude, you just do whatever you need to do, and I'll trust you. And if you make a mistake, I'll let you know. Well, I think that's what needs to happen with your team. You got to trust your team to do the right thing. They do need to be coached, but if they have to make a decision, make the decision. And if it's not the right one, we'll educate you and we'll move on. But give them the autonomy to do that. Do you really, as an owner, need to be the one to go to the store and buy the 4-foot, fluorescent light bulb for your school? Give them the autonomy to go get it. Like, just get it done. Those are some big things. I think they'll give them a sense of pride and ownership in the school as well.
Hey, Miss Collier's pretty tough. You asked, what's your biggest pet peeve? She said, Brandon Carlson and Jennifer Frackrell. That's horrible. I'm kidding.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
We love Miss Collier.
Oh, man.
CMA family in the house.
That's right. That's funny.
Hopefully she's just tagging them is what's happening here.
Yeah. Good guess there, Metz.
Thanks, Ted. Anyway, guys, get the here it comes, Miss Collier. Yeah, I hope they don't see this. Anyway, hey, at the end of the day, who was I telling? Oh, I know who I was telling. I was out with my good buddy last night. Me and my buddy took the daughters to Halloween Horror Nights again last night.
Oh, nice.
You can tell by the voice. That's twice in 3 days. Another $600, by the way, to Universal Studios, Florida. $75 to valet. I just like to bring that up. And we worry about charging $149 a month for life-changing martial arts. I parked my car for 6 hours for only $75.
But it was an option.
Anyway, we were talking last night, and we were talking about what's the next move? Like, where do we see ourselves? And he's a professional. He's a PGA golfer. He's a professional golfer. And we were talking about, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And he was telling me his thing, and he said, where do you want to be in 10 years? And I said, and I hopefully in exactly the same spot I'm in, because my mission today, I told him, was to help other people. And I say that so sincerely, because I just don't believe people believe that. I just don't believe they believe it. And because I don't know, I think people don't believe it because we're in a society where everybody says, there's a catch, there's a gimmick, there's this. But Tass, you and I know, and you're one of them, nothing makes us happier than seeing people in our industry succeed. And I told them that's what excites me. I love seeing people. I said, we were talking, I said, he and I, we're pretty blessed. Life's hard enough. We were talking about how life is hard enough. Life is hard enough. And I happen to be in the martial arts industry. And I happen to be in an industry where the majority of people struggle. So this is my passion. This is my industry. This is what I am. That's the industry I chose to really try to help. And I want to see you guys succeed. And that's exciting to me. And he related to that because he's a very good guy, has a foundation, does a lot of charitable work. And but my point is when we give you these ideas, it's so funny because I'll be honest with you. I watched the little ticker. How many are signing on, signing off, signing on, signing off, signing on, signing off. And the thing is I understand personalities. I don't know who could sit here and watch this show. Some people may not like the sarcastic humor. Some people may not like the sound of our voices. And we understand that, right? But I don't care who it is. When we banter and when we get you all to comment back and engage, there's not a person in our industry that can't watch this that cannot get something out of it.
Right.
And it takes a lot of discipline to just sit here and watch this thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'd watch it if I wasn't doing it because I have ADD, HDD, H, right? I mean, and so I'd be like, so I get it. But whoever is watching this, I hope you really take into account and take something from this and just make one little improvement. And if we come on every week and you just make one little improvement every week, at the end of the year, you're going to have 45 to 50 improvements in your business that can help you get one step closer to the life that you want, the impact that you want to make. So,
Yeah, that's a great point, man.
You're
Brian, if you think about changing 100%, right? That can be an overwhelming, thought, and we don't take action and we get paralyzed and we don't do things. But if can I just change this one thing 1%, and can I do that 100 times? Well, it's still equivalent to 100% change. So, that's the thing. What is it? By the inch, it's a cinch. By the mile, it's a trial, I think is the saying. So, just take something, go execute, take something, go implement.
What was that?
I said, I think it's by the inch, it's a cinch. By the mile, it's a trial.
Is that the great Dr. Seuss?
It might be. Maybe. Could be. I can't give credit. I have no idea. I could Google it for you, though, and find out.
No.
Yeah. Don't have the attention span for you to do that.
Right, you would take too long. Anyway, well,
we do love helping the industry. And the only thing I can tell you, if you say people don't believe that, here's what I would tell you. If you're like me, you know, when I trained, I'm gonna tee this up for Mets. When I trained, I had I did very, very well, right? And I went to a lot of tournaments, did very well, whatever, won grand champions, whatever. But the point I'm going to make here is not one of those trophies or grand champions ever felt as good as when I had my first student win grand champion. That to me was like, oh my God, that is amazing. Like I was so excited for that student, more excited than when I, you know, took a gold or at the nationals or whatever. It doesn't matter. The biggest medal I've got, right? I was more excited about that child getting that grand champion than I was about my own accomplishments years ago. And that's how we feel in the martial arts industry and business, right? I'm going to keep going because I'm going to ruin the moment for you. But that's how we feel about martial art business. That's why we do it, because we can do it, but it's unbelievable when you come back to us and say, you know what, I implemented, I executed that, I tried it, and we got results. And oh my God, you've changed our lives, right? And I haven't changed your life. It's just the systems I've learned have helped you to change your life, and you've taken action and executed them. That's why it's so much fun. I just closed the door on you, but you'll still open it back up. Go ahead.
No, I remember that Taekwondo participation tournament of champions where everyone's a winner. I remember when you got that medal.
Yeah, and that was in the basement.
I remember how proud everyone was.
I know. It was in the basement. There was only one other guy there, and he was a white belt. I was a black belt. It was unbelievable. It was a great experience.
It was terrific. Oh, wait, one more. Oh, yeah. One of my pet peeves is visiting schools and seeing huge classes with a group of assistants hanging out in a corner, probably kneeling down teaching. Did you catch it?
Yes.
I'm kidding, sir.
So mean.
I'm kidding.
More of a squat than a kneel, but yes, I got it.
By the way, that's a real problem, and that's even a problem in our schools. Not as much anymore. Not as much anymore. I got to give credit to our directors. But here's the thing, and this is important. This is a great point, because you will train how to be a great instructor. You'll train how to be a great instructor, and this is what we talked about before, Tass. When you hire an assistant, are you hiring as an investment or convenience? And most instructors will use an assistant for convenience, where you never train them on how to be proactively involved in a class, just reactively. You hire an assistant and you'll say, hey, I need you to take these students over here and do this. Or, hey, work with these students here. Or, hey, can you warm up the class for me? You're giving them, and now they're reactive. You're giving them a specific direction, and they're going to say, yeah, they're qualified to warm up a class. They're qualified to take these students. But what if you're leading the class? Are they trained to be proactive, to be walking the lines, praising the students, correcting the students? It's a big issue, and it's because of lack of training, by the way. So that's a great point.
It's definitely a lack of training. And then, because I know what some people are going to say, but my assistants are 13, 14, 15-year-olds, and they're in school and there's no time to train, everything else. Then you do on-the-job training. And as the lead, part of that 3-ring circus, by the way, the black, the white, the gray, on the black area, those kids that are taking class are not my only responsibility. My responsibility is also my assistants on the floor, and I'm coaching and telling them what to do while they're on the floor. And then they start picking up the verbal cues, like, all right, guys, we're going to be working on a lead leg round kick today. And today it's all about speed. And over time, my team starts to know we're doing speed drills. We're going to do the floppy paddle drills. That's what we're doing. If I'm talking about power, we're doing something else, right? Go ahead.
Let me ask Mr. Ryan this question. Here's a bigger one, sir. What if you have 2 assistant instructors, you're leading the class, but you only have 4 students in class? what are the assistant instructors doing now?
Right.
Right? That's even another issue. And that's why you need to have clear job descriptions and trainings. Because what are they doing now? They may be doing MIA calls. They may be greeting people, talking to the parents in the lobby and building rapport there.
Right.
They may be checking those dirty windows and hitting the garbage cans in the bathrooms. They need to have that training. So I love the fact that you brought this point up, because it is a big point, because it's a huge point, because this is a direct impact on your money. If you're paying assistants and you're not training them properly, you're losing money. You're losing money on that. You know?
Yep. And if they're huddled up in a corner and I call it sitting on the perch. You can't be the bird on the perch and always be in the same spot. You got to work the lines, right? It's going to be very hard for them to be a great head instructor, because they don't know what to do when there's not many people there, or what to do when there's a lot of people there. Well, how are they going to be a great head instructor? They've got to learn those things and then be able to teach those. It's the whole process of rinse and repeat, right? And teach.
And he had the answer,
Awesome.
but not everybody has that answer. Not everybody does that, right? So
Right.
that's great. And by the way, let me just say this. As school owners or chief instructors, be proactive, don't be reactive. Don't do that when it happens. Write it down and have an official job description, so when you hire somebody, or it's a leadership student that you bring on, they understand what they're signing on for. It's not just holding a target and counting to 10 and warming up a class. You're going to be hitting the lobby. You're going to be hitting the bathrooms. You're going to be making MIA calls. You're going to be doing striping. I mean, you're going to understand the business. And if they accept that, great. But don't be reactive either, most of you, where it's like, hey, I only got 4 people in class. Why don't you, go check the bathrooms? Like, don't do that. Be ahead of it. Okay. So great point.
Right on.
Any
Good stuff.
final word? Good, Tass?
Good stuff, man.
Tass.
Yeah.
Are you good, man?
Things are good.
I mean, it's just us talking. I mean,
Just you and me. We went off live now. I can tell you
yeah,
that.
we're done. We're not live.
Whew. All right, good. Dude, it's been I don't want to make these people jealous, but it's been unbelievable. Things have been unbelievable.
You should have shared that when we were live.
I know.
All right, guys.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Pass, you want to call me, or do you want me to call you?
I'll be proactive. I'll call you.
I'm waiting for your call. Bye, guys.
Sounds good. See you guys. Bye.